Hi folks, today in this video I wanted to discuss some of the key initiatives people are taking to build generative AI apps for sales organizations and even for marketing organizations. One of the key areas where I see salespeople or marketing people sometimes find it challenging that if they wanted to write about what they're selling their customer, they really need to understand the various products, their services, and even different case studies and examples of how other customers have used the features that they're trying to sell. If you were, let's say, a person who is selling AWS services or trying to write about AWS services, there are tons and tons of services available on AWS cloud, right? Just from basic compute storage to all the AI ML services available out there, new databases. New offerings are coming out almost every day, not just on AWS, but on Google Cloud or any of the other hyperscalers or cloud companies. So as a salesperson, as a marketing person, how do you keep up? And this was a problem that I had tried to solve when I was in a previous role. Uh, there, we had a lot of this information which was available to our sales org, marketing org, and even to our customers. These were pieces of information related to the feature, the data sheet, the specifications, what the feature actually did, and how it improved the customer's the cybersecurity posture. And at that point in time, there was obviously no ChatGPT, but we did use machine learning methods to correlate if a customer already owned a particular product from the company, what were the other upsell opportunities, for example, or cross-sell opportunities. And you can imagine there are many such use cases that salespeople have to deal with on a regular basis. So when generative AI, you know, came out last week in terms of ChatGPT, last year, and I was very fond of that problem, which I had worked on earlier, and I said, you know what, let me try to see if I can take a stab at it again. And what I did was a few months ago, looked at AWS case studies, and I'll show you some here. As you can see, AWS has a ton of case studies across various industries. They categorize almost 3,000 case studies. You can choose by location, industry, and so on. Use cases are also available here, which can be analytics, AI, ML, and so on and so forth, right? So what I did was I said, okay, let me actually just download a few hundred of these case studies. I did that without writing a crawler or a scraper. What I typically did was I would go to one of these case studies, I would sort of store, sort of share, not share really, view source, view the HTML source, and then parse only the text out of it. Okay, I did that for almost 300 plus case studies, and I made that available as a Kaggle notebook, a Kaggle dataset. You can come to this Kaggle dataset and you can see there are 347 files, and each of them are text files, right? They contain the text of that particular web page. Like I said, it wasn't possible for me to write a crawler. I just didn't want to invest that kind of time. My idea was to build something end to end and really prove to me that generative AI was actually useful in some of the kinds of problem statements I had tried to solve before. So after extracting all of these case studies, right, I did a typical RAG, or Retrieval-Augmented Generation pipeline. What that really means is all of these case studies were then converted into vector embeddings. So for every case study, I would open the text file, extract chunks of text, convert it to a vector embedding, and store it in a vector index. And then when a query would come in, I would extract the embedding of that particular query, match it with all the other vectors that were available that I'd already indexed earlier, extract or retrieve the chunks, and then create a prompt that would be sent to a large language model to receive a response. I've had a previous video where I talk about this RAG pipeline. There's some material I've also created for you to learn this on your own. I'll link to all of that in the video descriptions. So once I was able to build that pipeline, I wanted to create a UI. And I think by then, GPT-4 had also come out. So I started prompting GPT-4 to give me a UI in Tailwind and HTML, which I could then hook up to my backend service. And the UI and the product is here. This is available for anybody to use. You can try it yourself. And I'll tell you what's happening in this UI. It's a bit crowded, and it's really it's a UI that obviously not a non-expert has created. I'm not an expert in UI UX, but this is functional. Okay, under the hood, it uses Tailwind for styling and jQuery to make asynchronous JavaScript requests or AJAX requests, which basically means that the page will not load when you hit a button to get the response. In this UI, you can do a couple of things, right? I've given you some smart defaults. You can choose, let's say, Amazon personalize, and you could say case studies, right? It's like almost asking ChatGPT, hey, tell me a few case studies about Amazon personalize, right? That's what you're doing here without actually typing it, but using some smart defaults. And then you can come and say, ask AWS chat, and it takes a few seconds. And what it's doing is it's taking the input query that I've created in the backend, vectorizing it, and then retrieving the chunks and then sending that to an LLM. In this case, it's ChatGPT. And as you can see, the summary, the output is very interesting. It gives you an executive summary about Amazon Personalize, and it talks about the various use cases along with the folks who have used it. It mentions some of the names of customers of Amazon who have used Amazon Personalize and how they've actually been able to accomplish some of their goals. This is a very interesting way to identify or learn more about these services, right? Let's take another one. You could say Amazon Translate, and I would say, again, industry context in this case. What I was trying to do with all of these buttons was to find as many different kinds of questions that were possible. And this was also informed by what I was looking at in the case studies. Again, you'll see that there's an executive summary about what Translate is all about, and then different industries and how they use Translate. Let's read a few. In finance, translating financial reports, statements, and documents for international clients and stakeholders. Enabling communication between global teams and partners. Streamlining the translation of regulatory documents and compliance materials. A fairly common use case in the finance world. And there are some unique benefits also mentioned, right? Now, all of this is possible because the way I've created the prompt is very specific. Okay, in the prompt, I have instructions for the large language model to create an executive summary, you provide bullet points, and then a final response, or at least a closing remark. Now, if you had a name that is not available here, there's an input text field that you could type the name in, the product name. Or if you just want to ask a question, you could just type it here, right? So I've also indexed some blog posts on Gen AI. So let's say we ask this question: how is Gen AI going to be used in finance, right? And what it's doing is, again, like I said, it's vectorizing or extracting the embedding and then getting the response. So it's a very short response. I asked a very simple question. Generative AI, also known as generative AI, artificial intelligence, is going to be used in finance to improve customer experience, increase productivity of knowledge workers, understand market and customer sentiment, and drive product innovation and automate business processes. Fair, so decent answer. But let's say I want more. The way you can get more is by explicitly asking for that, right? And that's what I've done with some of the prompts that I've created here, which are templates that are already created. And every time you make a choice from some of these options, that template receives these values, and then it's sent to the LLM. We'll take one or two more examples, and we'll discuss why this is important in the context of sales and marketing. Let's take the example of, Amazon IoT Things Graph, all right? And let's ask for a summary. And all of this information is in the case studies that we've indexed. And there are not too many. There are 357 or 350 case study documents. Now imagine if we could index all 3,000 of them, right? Not just the case studies. We could index the blogs, we could index documentation, we could index almost all of that content. What you would get would be fairly comprehensive, depending on any question you ask. Now, the AWS IoT Things Graph is a powerful tool offered by Amazon Web Services that enables organizations to easily build and deploy IoT applications. With its intuitive visual interface and extensive library of pre-built components, AWS IoT Things Graph simplifies the development process and its time to market. Now, you can imagine that some of this is going to be the kind of verbiage you would find in a case study, okay? Which is fine. I think that's exactly what you're seeing. And you're seeing some key advantages, key features, potential impact. And case studies are meant to talk about these, right? They help companies not wade through a lot of the documentation, but just read a few case studies and understand how some of the competitors or other folks are using these features. Now, if I were to ask for a step-by-step approach to, let's say, build a machine learning platform on Amazon, today you could also just ask ChatGPT-4 and it'll give you a pretty decent response. But let's say you had all of these documents, case studies, blogs, maybe even case studies on other websites related to Amazon Web Services. And all of this was put together internally. You did the process that I described earlier, where you would chunk it up, extract text, extract embeddings, store it in a vector index, and then build prompts to actually get the final result. What you would see is that you suddenly can unlock a lot of value for different stakeholders. Not only can you help salespeople learn about, the business impact of some of these services, so that when they go and talk to clients, they talk in their terms, right? But you can also equip salespeople with some of the technical aspects of these solutions. Now, they may or may not be interfacing with technical folks on the other side, but if they do have to talk, about technical terms, they'll be far more equipped without having to, talk to different people and really not have the empowerment that is currently possible with these solutions. And even for technical people, it's important to know how the business works, how some of these tools and technologies are being used to improve business outcomes. What are the business outcomes that are being improved with, let's say, Amazon Personalize or Amazon Translate or even Amazon Lex? By the way, I'm a big fan of the cloud. I don't work at Amazon. I use Amazon Web Services. I've used it at work, and personally also a lot of the projects that I work on uses Amazon. But this tool could be built for any cloud, right? Or for any kind of documentation, if you think about it. This is not specific to any one kind of document or one kind of company. This can actually be built for almost any collection of information. So with this, what I wanted to showcase was, hey, today it's easy for internal teams to actually get together and initiate some of these projects. All you need is your content, which you already have. Libraries like LangChain, Llama Index, or even building it from scratch is very easy. I show that in some of the material that I've published. All you need is a SQLite database, Anoi vector index, embedding models, which are all open source and free. And even to build a UI, like I said, you can prompt GPT-4 to really give you something that's very functional. And in no time can you have a product that internally can start adding value. So, check out the YouTube, the video descriptions. There's a lot of links that I will share in the description. And if you found value today, please subscribe, share. I'm looking to grow the channel and help more people adopt the latest and greatest in AI tools and technologies. And if you really like the video, hit the like button, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.